Thank you, Mr. Kidd. Good afternoon, Ridley. Before we begin, please allow me to offer another hearty extension of happiness and well-wishing to all those celebrating Chinese New Year today. For the final time this service, 新年快乐. The Chinese zodiac presents 2021 as the year of the ox, as Jenny said. The ox is said to embody the virtues of diligence, persistence, and honesty, all of which are very fitting for the topic I'll be discussing today. Everybody in this room, on this campus, and at this school has something they believe in, something they support openly or in private, something that they agree with and wish to advance. However, many of us may not have the strength to defend these beliefs when they come under attack. Whether we realize it or not, we often abandon our views and beliefs when entering into an environment in which supporting our beliefs would be to our detriment. I know that I do. It is something that I deeply regret and something that I hope I can inspire each and every one of you to never do. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I will be speaking to you on the importance of conviction and action. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote, "We are called to be people of conviction, not conformity, of moral nobility, not social responsibility." He is trying to tell us that we must hold on to our own beliefs, that we must be guided by a moral compass and not by what society says is right or wrong. Now, how do we identify whether an individual is following their moral compass or some other motivation? Well, that's the difficult part. Let's try this definition. Conviction is the strong belief that a behavior is right, moral, and consistent with your deeper values. It offers a kind of certainty not about the world, but about the morality of your own behavior. It is often said that history is written by the victors. I respectfully disagree. History is written by those with conviction, for it is the person with true meaning and conviction who changes the world. Look at Napoleon, for example, one of the most controversial men in history. Napoleon had a dream, one of conquest, one of expansion and glory. Napoleon had skills. He was and is to this day one of the greatest tacticians to ever have lived. But most importantly, Napoleon had conviction. He had an unwavering determination and a clear set of beliefs and goals, and would stop at nothing to see them realized despite immense opposition. But ultimately, Napoleon failed. He was defeated, then exiled, but he returned, only to be defeated and then exiled again. Now we remember him as dying a slow death on a small island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, but his legacy is much, much greater. Napoleon single-handedly forced the absolutist kings of Europe into submission, leaving a trail of liberalism, nationalism, and enlightenment behind his warpath. The same conviction that drove Napoleon to embark on his great conquest would result in the spread and popularization of the very ideas that shape our liberal democracy today. Although Napoleon failed in the short term, there is no denying that, his impacts are felt even into the modern world, where democracy reigns supreme as a free and just society for all. Without that one man and his beliefs and overwhelming conviction, where would we be today? Now, admittedly, Napoleon is perhaps an old and overpopularized example of zeal. So let's look at something a bit more recent. I'll now tell the story of David Goldberger, a Jewish lawyer from Skokie, Illinois, who made national headlines during a case in 1977. David Goldberger, a law practitioner and member of the American Civil Liberties Union, received a call one day from a disgruntled American Nazi Party leader who was very angry at his inability to hold a demonstration in downtown Skokie. The village, which was nearly half Jewish, did everything they could to prevent the Nazis from demonstrating, going so far as to file an injunction. Goldberger and his law team promptly took matters into their own hands, deciding to represent the Nazis in court. His community shunned him and his family. He received death threats. Nonetheless, what followed was one of the most controversial cases in US history, one that would ultimately result in a moral victory for Goldberger and his Nazi clients, who were finally allowed to conduct their demonstration. Why? Why did Goldberger work so hard to support a group that displayed such hate for his people? Why again did Goldberger put his family, his business, and his community in danger by defending a group that was anathema to his religious beliefs? Because, in a great display of conviction, he took action to advance his own beliefs in freedom of speech and the right to voice your opinion. Although fighting for his beliefs was in this case directly detrimental to him, he still fought, and he won. He provided the very people that despised him the right to demonstrate against his heritage in his homeland, because he had beliefs and the conviction necessary to champion them. Now we arrive at the most relevant example, one that we are still living through this very moment. On the 6th of January this year, thousands of Trump supporters stormed the US Capitol building in an attempt to influence the ongoing vote to install Joe Biden as president of the US. In an attempt to influence the election that Donald Trump said he won when most everybody else said he lost. Conventional wisdom, and certainly the media, places the blame squarely on Trump for deliberately misleading these protesters. In doing so, conventional wisdom runs the risk of insulting the passion and intelligence of the voters who protested. It was not just Trump who promoted the idea of fraud. A survey released this week demonstrated that 40% of Republican voters believe that political issues may need to be solved with violence. No matter how motivating someone like Trump is, 30 million people, or 40% of Republican voters, simply cannot be enticed to take up arms against their own government by the words of one man. When people saw that their cherished beliefs and views were threatened, those people gained the conviction necessary to make a change, no matter the cost. Now, we have yet to fully discern whether the claims of these protesters were legitimate. Should it be proven that election fraud did occur, those who stormed the Capitol could go down as the true defenders of democracy, and for that, they should have our respect. And if it is proven that their claims were unfounded, those who stormed the Capitol will face justice and the consequences of their actions, and deservedly so. But even then, they will still have a measure of our respect, for they stood to lose everything, and yet they still fought for what they believed in. Now let's return to our definition of conviction. Conviction is a strong belief that a behavior is right, moral, and consistent with your deeper values. It offers a kind of certainty, not about the world, but about the morality of your own behavior. Are we, without judging facts, to reject the motivations of the individual? Personally held beliefs backed by a rate of evidence deserve a wide berth and a full hearing, one that was never given in the case of the Capitol insurrection. You can reject violent action and still hold passionately to a conviction. We all deserve that respect, and I hope that one day the issue of the 2021 Capitol insurrection will finally be put to rest, hopefully with conviction. Upon the conclusion of this chapel service, Mr. Hunt will play what is, without doubt, one of the greatest hymns of all time, Jerusalem, the poem of the same name by William Blake, set to the composition of Sir Hubert Parry. Not only is it musically rich, but the lyrics strike deep. Take the last line, for example. I will not cease from mental fight, nor shall my sword sleep in my hand, until we have built Jerusalem in England's green and pleasant land. This is a most glorious call to action. If there is one thing that you take away from this speech, I hope it is thus: be that person. Be the one to take action for what you believe in. whatever that may be. Whether you succeed or fail, let the world know that you are so deeply invested in something that you would give anything in your life to advance it. Now, I highly doubt that Jerusalem will be built in England's green and pleasant land anytime soon. But even during the darkest of times, when it comes to fighting for what you believe in, do not cease from mental fight, and do not let your sword sleep in your hand. Thank you.